Good morning, honorable members. Can I tell you good to go?
Morning, Chair. Yes, we are.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and the acting DG, Mr. Imran Patel, the DG Zwane, CFO, and the rest of the team from the department. NACI, the chairperson of NACI, Mr. Tilson Manyoni, and the acting CEO, Ms. Annelien Morgan. You're welcome, CEO. This is our first engagement with you in this platform. You are welcome and to your new responsibilities as the acting CEO of NACI. We wonder.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, we were wondering who had replaced the DG. But it's a good replacement. We welcome you all to today's portfolio committee meeting. Today we are going to be doing our final entity on annual reports, which is NACI. We have had all the entities of the department. We have engaged their annual reports, and it was a good engagement, impressive and informative and corrective as well. So now NACI is the last this time around to give us a report on the annual reports. And we welcome you. It's been a while since we've had NACI in the committee, so you are welcomed, Chairperson and your team. Shanaz, do we have any apologies?
Chair, yes, the apologies we received were from the Minister who's attending a UNESCO meeting, and then the Deputy Minister is attending Cabinet Committee meeting this morning, and then also the DG is attending a SKA Council meeting in Australia, Chair. So those were the apologies we received. There were none from members. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Shanaz. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the agenda? Honorable members. Honorable Mazuni.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the committee, and good morning, everyone on the platform. I'd like to move the adoption of the minutes of the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable Mazuni. Honorable Nkosi.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. I would like to second the adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. The agenda has been duly adopted and seconded. Can we now welcome the acting DG, Mr. Imran Patel, to lead the presentations and the delegation from both the department and then hand over to NACI after your remarks. Over to you, Mr. Patel.
Thanks. Good morning, Honorable Chair, and to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. Firstly, the apologies of the Minister, Deputy Minister, and DG were highlighted by Shanaz and duly recorded. They're involved in these strategic meetings at this point in time. I will be leading the delegation, and as always, we find these engagements extremely useful, and I speak for our entities as well. The comments, the issues that are raised are taken seriously by both the entities and ourselves in order to improve how we function. NACI has been touted to play a much more significant role in the context of the decadal plan, where we would want to strengthen NACI's role in terms of providing kind of strategic leadership, foresighting, and assistance in some of those work. It brings together key role players that help to guide the department in its own work. So we are confident that as the next few years will unfold, the vision that we have defined for NACI in the decadal plan will become much more clearer and evident. But obviously, that role is dependent on ensuring that the existing responsibilities that NACI has been assigned are effectively undertaken, and that it's done within strict governance arrangements and mechanisms. And so we're glad to report that those as the NACI colleagues will report, will demonstrate that that is happening. So without any further ado, let me hand over to the chairperson of the council, Mr. Tilson Moniani, who will also introduce a number of council members who have taken the time to participate in the session, and we thank them for them joining in this presentation. And then Tilson will decide when best to hand over to the CEO to do the detailed acting CEO to do the detailed substantive presentation. So Tilson, over to you to just introduce yourself and the rest of the NACI delegation, and then to take us through the presentation. Thank you. Tilson, I think you muted.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks very much, DTG Imran, for that intro. Good morning to the Honorable Chair of the Portfolio Committee and the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. We are extremely honored to be given this opportunity to present our annual report. As Chairperson, you put it correctly. There's been some few changes within NACI. Our previous CEO, Dr. Kele, was actually appointed as a new DG for the department. So we're proud of that achievement on behalf of NACI, because it just shows that there's an element of continuity in terms of the work that we do. Subsequent to that, we had to appoint an acting CEO while we're in the process of getting a full-time CEO, Miss Annelien Morgan, who has, I must say, hit the ground running. So to make sure that there's a smooth transition, from Dr. Kele to where we are. So we've been privileged that I think we've managed to keep the organization floating and running smoothly without any major disruptive on a day-to-day operation. Chairperson, if you allow me, I'm accompanied by the members of the executive team of NACI, Ms. Kumalo, who, by the way, she's in Brazil, and she's joining this meeting 4 o'clock in the morning. This shows the commitment. Ms. Khan, and Professor Ozzy is joining us. Those are the three members of the ESCOM. Ms. Tina Malakala was joining us. She's coming back from maternity leave, so she's also had a baby. So we're privileged that she has managed to join this meeting after it's gone through a process of delivering a newly baby boy. So those are our team. Chairperson, in terms of the process, Ms. Annalyn Morgan will then lead the presentation. In terms of our annual report, we prepared quite a comprehensive presentation for the portfolio committee. And I think what's important before I allow Ms. Annalyn to take over is that I think Dr. DTG Imran is correct when he states that the role of NACI has been amplified. And we are in the process of making sure that in the next few years that NACI does play a massive role in terms of driving the science, innovation, and technology agenda, both within the department and in the country as a whole. So we hope that as we enter to the new phase of NACI moving forward, that will be much more critical in terms of making sure that we spearhead the agenda of science, innovation, and technology within the department. And we'll also show in a report some of the key highlights. I think some of the things that we've managed to achieve in the last 12 months, which give indication in terms of where we want to go as NACI. With those few words, I'm going to ask Ms. Annalyn Morgan, our acting CEO, to take us through the presentation. Thank you very much, Chairperson, and I'm going to hand over to Ms. Annalyn Morgan at this point.
Good morning, honourable members. Good morning, Chairperson and the honourable members of the Portfolio Committee. Also would like to say good morning to the acting DG, Mr. Imran Patel, and then also the Chairperson of NACI and the Executive Committee who are also in attendance. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Indeed, it is my maiden presentation, my first presentation to the Portfolio Committee. As the acting CEO of NACI, I assumed this role in June when Dr. Cele got appointed as the new DG for the department. So what I'll be presenting is what was implemented in the 24-25 financial year when Dr. Cele was also still at the helm of NACI. So I'll just project the presentation and take honourable members through the presentation. Okay. Thank you, honourable members, and thank you, Chairperson. As indicated, we've been called to present on the annual report for NACI for 2024-2025 financial year that has just concluded. We'll go through the mandate of NACI, the performance information as per what is planned in the 24-25 financial year, and then we'll also reflect on the governance, human resources, and finances for the year, and then conclusions. As honourable members are aware, the legislative mandate for NACI is as per the NACI Act 55 of 1997. And the role of NACI is to advise the Minister of Science and Technology through the Minister and the Cabinet on the role of science, mathematics, innovation, technology, including indigenous technologies in promoting and achieving national objectives. This is the legislative functions as articulated in the NACI Act. And I'm not going to read them verbatimly, but rather summarize to say that, as we know, one of the functions of NACI is to ensure that we coordinate and stimulate the national system of innovation. We need to ensure that we promote science, technology, innovation, development, and technology transfer. So how do we advise the Minister in terms of these sectors? We provide policy advice to the Minister in terms of implementation of the white paper and the decadal plan as how we coordinate this. But we also identify research and development priorities for incorporating in government funding processes. And this we do through various levels. Through the monitoring of the system, we produce the annual R&D indicators report, where we track in terms of the key areas of investment, but also the key areas that needs investment that are declining. We also need to promote, expected to promote science, mathematics, and natural sciences in education. So basically STEM skills across the system. And then we have established maintenance and information system. So we have established a portal as NACI, which is functioning and which we are implementing on a continuous basis and updating. We also expected to liaise with and create partnerships with international partners. As we know that we've just hosted the G20 meeting on chief science advisors, but continue to forge strategic relationships, especially under partnerships such as BRICS, where we participate in the BRICS working groups, especially on foresight and science and technology policy. It says that we need to develop STI that may require new legislation. We know that NACI has been quite instrumental in the development of the white paper and the decadal plan. It's through the foresight exercise that NACI undertook that informed the development of the white paper and the decadal plan. And I think this function has been carried out quite well within the NACI system. We also need to ensure that we disseminate and ensure that whatever we produce is accessible to the public and public understanding of the work that we are doing. And we do this continuously through policy dialogues, engagements, stakeholder engagements with the NSI, but also the broader public in terms of the products, the knowledge products that we produce as NACI. Our vision, as the honorable members are aware, is to ensure that we are leading advisory body of government on science, technology, and innovation in a well-coordinated, responsive, and functioning national system of innovation. Our mission is to ensure we provide evidence-based to the Minister of Higher Education, Science, Innovation. This was at the time of last year, hence it's saying Higher Education, Science, and Technology, because that's how it was articulated in the APP when the department was still with higher education, through the Minister to Cabinet, Science, Technology, and Innovation, in terms of matters of research and engagement with stakeholders. Our values are professionalism, integrity, innovation, knowledge sharing, transparency, and accountability. So I'll get now straight into the annual performance plan for 24-25, what was planned and what was achieved. The first outcome that we are reporting on as per the annual report is to learn from previous experience to improve efficacy and ensure evidence-based, informed, confidential, timely policy advice to the Minister of Higher Education, Science, and Innovation through the Minister and Cabinet. So under the year that just concluded, we produced 4 policy advice documents that were submitted by the 31st of March 2025. And these policy advice documents were around firm heterogeneity impacts and constraints on R&D in South Africa. So what the advice was about was we tracked why there's been a decline of R&D expenditure by big business. And the study did recommendations, policy recommendations to the Minister. The second policy advice we did was recommendations towards the development of a national artificial intelligence strategy for South Africa. And this we did through over the year, where we commissioned 4 experts engagements throughout the system, culminating in about over 100 engagements. We did research and we developed policy advice around informing an artificial intelligence strategy for South Africa. And happy to note, honorable members, that this input was also taken up by the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies and Communications, which informed also the National Artificial Strategy. sure that we technologies in the area of hydrogen, and this work is being
sorry. I don't know if we lost you or it was me who lost you. Honorable members,
No,
did you
Chairperson,
Everyone.
we couldn't hear. Definitely.
Yeah, we all struggle. Yeah.
We are
okay,
lost.
apology, Chairperson. I think it's our connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. If you can just go a bit back.
Okay. So what I was saying, I'll try to be slow, also speak slowly. So what I was reporting on, honorable members, was that we produced 4 policy document advice for the minister. One focusing on the reason why R&D expenditures declining by big business. That's the firm heterogeneity impacts. The second advice was around input towards the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. And that's a policy advice we provided to the minister. The third one was around work we did jointly with the CSIR around R&D areas that need to inform capabilities around cybersecurity. And the fourth one was advice that we developed a proposal for the establishment of a transformative hydrogen fund, which we submitted to the minister. I hope honorable members were able to hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I'll continue to the next slide. On the second outcome is to contribute to the building of a national system of innovation, monitoring, evaluation, and learning capability to assess the health of the NSI and its contribution to sustainable and inclusive development. And that's the second outcome. Under this outcome, the achievements have been, we developed the draft STI indicators report, which was finalized by March 2025. We also developed 3 NSI M&E reports, which were finalized by March 2025. And these 3 M&E reports were around the synthesis report towards the decadal plan on STI, which we provided input to. The second one was a synthesis report on the study of industrialization through innovation, which was produced. And the third one, an inception baseline diagnostic assessment study on the transformation in the NSI was produced. This work has been finalized and will be finalizing it in this current financial year. The fourth was the National STI Information Portal, where we continuously have update different parts of the portal, and in the financial year that just concluded, we've updated the STI statistics section of the portal, so that is now available on the portal. May I continue to the next slide? I hope everybody heard me.
Yes, you're okay to go.
You
Okay,
can
thank you.
actually proceed. We can hear you. If you don't hear you, we'll inform you.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks, Chairperson. The third outcome is to contribute towards building a well-coordinated, effective, and responsive NSI. Under this outcome, the following deliverables have been the 2019 white paper on STI and STI decadal plan mandates, where NACI provided leadership towards institutionalizing foresight across the system, the National System of Innovation. And in the 24-25 financial year, NACI engaged on the following activities to strengthen foresight capacities, where NACI participated in the International Academic Symposium Foresight on Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, the Future Foresight Symposium, and also the United Nations Ad hoc Experts Committee on Technology Foresight and Technology Assessment. The above international engagements has provided NACI with the opportunity to share experiences, knowledge, and to learn about STI policy development, planning, and evaluation. On the fourth outcome, strategic outcome to transform NACI into a smart, efficient learning organization. Under this outcome, we have ensured visibility of the work of NACI through interviews on evidence-based science advisory for policymakers on Africa Science Focus podcast series on science dev. We've also had a provincial roadshow in UKZN through the creating visibility on the 2024 STI indicators report. So once the report was launched, we also did provincial roadshows in the last financial year. We also hosted the historic NACI Transformation Summit, as honorable members are aware, in March of this year, and adopted the summit recommendations. And those summit recommendations have been submitted to the minister in the form of advice. And as we know, the summit was hosted under the theme of science, technology, innovation, and knowledge at the center of government, education, society, and industry. We are also happy to note that this theme has influenced the mantra that the minister has adopted for the department to place science, technology, innovation at the center of government, industry, education, and society. And we're happy that this transformative summit has influenced the adoption of the mantra in the department. I will now move to part B of the presentation, which is the performance information. If you may allow me, Honorable Chairperson, I'm not going to get into detail because what I've just presented, I've presented the outcomes of exactly this table. The only thing I will focus on is just as a high level, is that the first outcome, as I've presented in the previous slide, was the number of STI advised. So we've actually exceeded. We've provided 4 advice instead of the 3 advice. So we've achieved this outcome and output. On the second outcome, the output is STI indicators report produced by March 2025. We've achieved this. And we indeed produced the report by March 2025, which will be launched in this current financial year. We were also expected to produce 2 M&E reports, and we've actually produced 3 M&E reports, as I've presented in the earlier presentation. So we've achieved this output. On the next outcome and output, is the ongoing maintenance and implementation of the National Science, Technology and Innovation Portal. As I've indicated, we've developed the STI statistics section of the portal, and that was done by the end of the year. On the foresight exercise, we've done work, but we've not completed this. So this was not fully achieved, but work was done to contribute towards the foresight exercise. On the last outcome, and output was the communication plan, implementation and updated. I've highlighted those activities that we've undertaken to create visibility on the work of NACI. So I'm not going to repeat what I've just presented. On the internal corporate governance outputs, we have met the target in terms of finalizing the 2025-26 annual performance plan, which was submitted on time together with the 25-2030 strategic plan. It was submitted by the 30th of January 2025. So we've met that, we've complied with that governance requirement. On the knowledge management system, we continuously use knowledge management system tools to ensure that we store ongoing NACI transcripts as per the meetings that we undertake at the governance level. I will get now into part C of the presentation, which is the governance. As honorable members may be aware, the Science Technology Amendment Act of 16/2011 requires NACI Council to meet at least once per quarter to ensure proper oversight of NACI's advisory work program, and to align with governance. The guidelines of NACI and its operations require that the NACI Executive Committee meet as often as necessary to direct the program of work and to deal with important urgent matters. The members of NACI, and other than the CEO and an officer from the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, DTIC, are appointed in their personal capacity to undertake this work and and contribute to the work of NACI. So for the Executive Committee, these are the members of the Executive Committee led by the Chairperson, Mr. Tilson Manyoni, the former CEO, Dr. Cele. At the time, he was still the CEO. Ms. Krach, who is the representative from the Department of Trade and Industry, Ms. Kumalo, and Dr. Franks. So these are the meetings that have attended as the executive committee. So the executive committee convenes and they inform the agenda that will be considered by the full council sitting. These are the members of the full council and the meetings that they've attended. I'm not going to go through individually, but just to highlight that that's the table and the number of meetings that were attended by the council members. In terms of human resources, that's the structure of NACI. As we know that we've got the NACI Council, and then currently the CEO position is vacant, but at the time it was occupied by Dr. Cele last year during the financial year being reported. And then we've got those positions that are in place in terms of the NACI operations. On the financial information, as we know that NACI is audited by the Auditor General as part of the Department of Science, as part of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, and our financial statements are processed through the department, and I'm happy that the CFO is part of the meeting so he can then talk to these finances. So I'm not sure if I can hand over to the CFO just to give an account of this annual financial statements. Over to you, CFO.
Thanks, Acting Chair. Morning, Honorable Chair. Morning, honorable members. Morning, DSI colleagues. Morning, Chair of the Council, and morning, Council members. Honorable Chair and members, I'm going to just go quickly through the finances of NACI. As the acting CEO has said, NACI is part of the department. Its finances fall within the department, and it is audited with the department. And any funding that NACI has, it is the funding that they would have been allocated through the departmental process. For the financial year that ended, 24-25, they were allocated 21 million, and under compensation, they had 14.6 million. Goods and services, they had 7.1. They spent 7.119, which was a 25,000 variance, and under compensation, they also had the variance of 69. But because they are within the department, their overspending was covered by the entire funding of the department. So they were not, the department was not found to be wanting in that regard. Chair, I'll leave it there. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, CFO. I'll continue, Honorable Chairperson and members. So in conclusion, is that the NACI Council made significant strides in implementing the 24-25 performance plan, notably the finalization of recommendations towards the development of a national artificial intelligence strategy for South Africa, and report towards the development of a research, development and innovation cybersecurity capability for South Africa's national security. We also hosted the inaugural National System of Innovation Transformative Summit, which recommendations we have submitted to the Minister and the Department for action to be implemented. As honorable members are aware, there is currently a process undergoing in terms of implementation of the renewal and repositioning agenda of NACI. Just to inform honorable members that the department has started the process and has submitted a draft bill, amendment bill towards the renewal of NACI as an entity, towards establishing it as an independent entity. NACI continues to seek to build healthy relations with all spheres of government, especially the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, to strengthen coordination, advisory, planning, and analytical and M&E capabilities for the National System of Innovation. Key strategic policy advice were provided to the Minister, as I've articulated in our deliverables, on how the country can create a transformative hydrogen fund, especially to support early stage technologies and infrastructure to accelerate commercialization and deployment of green hydrogen technologies in South Africa. And I'm also happy to inform honorable members through the chairperson that we continue this work in the current financial year. We continue to strengthen our regional and international partnerships, and we hosted, which we'll report in the next annual report, the work that we've done under the G20 presidency in this current financial year. Strengthening of institutional capacities of NACI to ensure that it is a leading advisory body for government and the country. And I think in this process, with the current process of renewing NACI into an independent entity, it's contributing to ensure that NACI is positioned as a leading advisory body for the government, but not only for the government, but for the country in terms of STI policy advice. That's the end of my presentation, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you for the presentation from Nikki. And we have questions and deliberations from honorable members. Honorable Jadu, Honorable Mazun, Honorable Samuel, Honorable Tembekwayo, okay, Honorable Njadu.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, honorable members and the department. Thank you for this presentation. I will go straight to my submissions. Chairperson, this report says NACI spent 7.1 million on goods and services, which was more than planned, partly due to fixed term contract. We are not told what these goods and services were. This lack of detail is not transparent. We need a full itemized list of this spending to see if the money was used properly. Can the department provide this committee with a detailed itemized list of what the 7.1 million for goods and services was spent on, and explain what each item was necessary? NACI main job is to give advice. This year, they only produced 4 main advice documents for the whole year of work and budget of nearly 20 million. This seems like every small amount to me. It's not enough for me. The people of South Africa, I think they are not getting a value for money. My question is, why did NACI only produce 4 key advice documents in the entire year? And how does this low output justify its annual budget? And another thing, Honorable Chair, NACI attended many international meetings. While sharing knowledge, to me, it's good. We see no evidence that these expensive trips led to any direct concrete benefit for South Africa. It looked like expensive talk shops with no real result for our people. Chairperson, my question is, what specific measurable benefit did South Africa gain from these international trips? And can you show us the direct link between these trips and the advice NACI produced? The report mentioned Transformation Summit and renewal and repositioning agenda. These are just fancy words to me. We do not see any clear, simple explanation of what has actually changed. what are the really practical outcome of this transformation for ordinary South Africans. My question is, can you please give this committee 3 simple concrete examples of how NACI has been transformed and how this renewal has direct improved the lives of South Africans, if you have any? And lastly, the Audit General audit NACI as part of the Department of Science and Innovation. This means we do not get separate focus on audit opinion on NACI itself. This hide a NACI own performance and financial problem. We need a separate audit for NACI to ensure the real accountability. The last question, will NACI commit getting its own separate audit from the Audit General next year, so that this committee and the public can see clearly independent verdict on its performance and finances? I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mjado. Honorable Mazoni.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the NACI board and presenter for being with us today. Chair, obviously we know that one of NACI's primary goals is to improve quality of life through ensuring that STI policies contribute towards the well-being of South Africa, that people understand about innovation, that people understand why science is important. Chair, could NACI just tell us a few of the stakeholder engagements that they've had across government? Because I'm starting to worry that NACI is being sidelined in terms of the crucial role that they should be playing. And I think this has happened since the department has split. Well, I say I think NACI must tell me, did this happen because the department split away from higher education and perhaps not such focus is being played on NACI? And I say this because there seems to be a perceived lack of relevance. Every time NACI appears before Parliament, we're concerned about the same things. We want to know how NACI is showing the country how innovation would tackle problems such as unemployment, how science would improve the economy if young people were studying it more. So, Chair, I think there might be some coordination problems. And I think these coordination problems arise because amongst our various entities that fall under our department, I think that they're not sure who is actually supposed to be doing what. And this isn't the first entity I've said this to. I think that there is a lot of duplication of work. So can NACI just tell us if that is the case? And then, Chair, the council members. We spoke about this last time. Has there been an improvement in ensuring institutional knowledge? So in other words, not such a high turnover, because that seemed to be a bit problematic. Chair, then also, can we just have an indication from NACI in terms of investment, what kind of improvement they've seen both in private sector and probably most important from international investment, the foreign funding. Has that improved, and does NACI see that improving or becoming more of a problem? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mazoni. Honorable Ramaro.
Greetings, colleagues, and thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. I welcome the report and I thank NACI for your presentation today. I think my first question also relates to, how goods and services exceeded the past year's expenditure. I think Honorable Mjado alluded to it as well. I would like to know really in detail what was the cause of this and really how you plan to mitigate this in the future. And also you say that, part problem is the vast vacancy rate, which, I would assume hinders on how you function. And, due to obvious fiscal constraints, is there a way of functioning without having to fill these vacancies? Because where will the money come from, to pay employees? Or is there a plan put in place to cover costs? Can you outline in that regard, please? My second one, Chair, in the report, you state that it was found during the inaugural NSI Transformation Summit that the post-apartheid transformation of the NSI did not reach its intended goals. Can we, Chair, as this committee, be furnished with, the recommendations adopted at the summit so that we can play our executive oversight more efficiently on how that implementation process is going? And, if at all, the entity has started with actions that were recommended at the summit. I think it's important, Chair, that we also start being more involved in our oversight role as members of this committee. Lastly, Chair, local government, in my view, is really the grassroots engine that ensures real implementation of what is decided at the national level of government. And to hear that the 2024 STI indicators report shows that, the average municipal innovation maturity index score is 2 out of 5, which really means that there is limited implementation of innovation at the municipal level. I mean, there needs to be a working synergy in this regard. So how do you plan to ensure that there is a coordinated approach between the spheres of government that really empowers municipalities, as they are the grassroots implementers of STI policy directives? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kimberly.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks for the presentations done. The first question is on the impact of Transformation Summit arising from the successful inaugural NSI Transformation Summit concluded and recommendations that were sent to the STI. How would you follow up on the numerous recommendations adopted to deepen and accelerate the systemic change? Sorry for that. And the following question is based on a racial diversity plan. How do you plan to target and recruit persons with disabilities to achieve diversity in the current financial cycle? The last one, staff development and retention plays an important role for purpose of sustainability of the department. What measures will be reviewed? What measures will the reviewed performance management and development system policy incorporate to address staff career development needs and create opportunities for graduate workplace exposure and upskilling for effective performance? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, that's like Honorable Kosi.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. I also, Chair, have 3 questions. I just wanted maybe to get clarity on. The first one will be, how does NACI plan to address the persistent decline in R&D investment, particularly in incentivizing the private sector participation and increasing the overall funding towards achieving the 1.5% GDP target? Secondly, Chair, will be what specific mechanisms are in place to ensure that the stakeholder engagement, such as summits and workshops, translate into concrete policy reforms and measurable improvement in the national innovation system? Chair, lastly will be what strategies does NACI or is NACI implementing to strengthen its internal capacity, including the human resources and institutional resilience to actively respond to evolving technology or technological and scientific challenges? Those are the three questions I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nkosi. Honorable Ramunga, your hand is up. Is it like that, or you left something? Honorable Ramunga. It seems that was a legacy hand. I will now hand over back to the to NACI through you, Mr. Patel.
Thanks, Chair. Can I suggest that NACI, the CEO and the Chair, go through some of the questions? I noted 2 or 3 questions that are more within the responsibility of the DSTI to respond, and I'll conclude with those. So over to you, Tilson and Annelie.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members, for those quite insightful questions. And I must say, we do appreciate the questions and the feedback from the honorable members. Chair, through you, I think what I'll do, I'm going to try to cover the question that were raised by Honorable Nkosi and Honorable Ms. Mazoni and Dr. Tembekwayo, and I think Mr. Nkosi. Then I'll also allow the acting CEO to come after me with some more specific and more details. But I'm going to try to summarize, I think, the key points that were raised. First, let me start with the issue of the National Transformation Summit and the question around its impact and how we're going to measure the outcome of that summit. I think you're correct. This was I must put in record, Chair. This was quite a milestone. You know, it's the first thing that ever NACI has done something like this in the history of NACI. You know, we managed to convene over 300 different stakeholders across government sectors, higher education, and mostly private sector. There was a lot of business people that attended to the summit. And one of the key issues I think we're trying to address to the summit was the issue of private sector participation in the STI ecosystem and also trying to get the broader stakeholders' involvement so that we come up with a set of recommendations and action that not only are relevant to DSI, but more to the society at large. And that is why the theme of the summit was putting STI at the center of society, government, and industry. And I think out of those summits, if you recall, Chairperson, and I think will be happy to make the information available to the portfolio committee. We took a set of declaration. We after 2 days of the engagement, we had a number of declarations that we pronounced by delegates and said people who participate in the STI ecosystem, things that they felt that are very important that the department must make sure that those things are implemented. And those declarations we presented to the minister and the department as a whole. And Chairperson, I'm happy to announce that the department has taken the decision and has informed us officially as NACI that those summit resolutions and declarations will be incorporated as part of the department implementation plan for this financial year and the next few years. So we hope that when the department does come back to present to the portfolio committee, some of those recommendations that we made during the summit will be implemented. And like I said, we're happy to share with the portfolio committee those number of declaration of the summit. So that's the first point. The second point I think was raised was around the number of advice. Honorable Chair, if I may just explain to the members of the committee to just how NACI operates. As you're aware, we're not an implementing agent, we're an advisory body. So basically what we do as NACI, one, on the request of the minister or as councils see fit, that we try to put together a set of proposals that we think, could contribute positively to making sure that STI is at the center of our policy making within the department. And of course, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. There were four main things I think in the last financial year that we focused on, and we're very happy that I think the output of those four engagements and the advice that we provide to the minister could lead to quite a major improvement in terms of positioning STI within the country. The first one was around the issue of the national intelligence AI strategy of the country. That was quite a comprehensive exercise that we took. We had quite a huge pool of stakeholders coming from all sectors, especially from the private sector and government. We worked close with the Department of Telecoms to make sure that we had a comprehensive outcome or the document, and that was submitted to the minister as the main advice in terms of how we can go about putting together the national strategy on AI for the country as a whole. The second one was around the issue of cybersecurity. In the same way, we had a very comprehensive task, and we brought in a number of subject matter experts, and this also involved a number of other government departments to help us to make sure that we got a broad understanding in terms of what we need to do to put together a national strategy on cybersecurity. That was another advice that we submitted to the minister. The third one was around the issue of the hydrogen economy. Through Chairperson, you know that Department of Science and Innovation have invested quite a lot of time and energy around the issue of hydrogen society roadmap that was adopted as part of the white paper and the current plan. And of course, a number of government departments have also taken the issue of promoting hydrogen as one of our key economic drivers, Department of Trade and Industry, and of course, the Department of Energy, one of the few departments that have taken the lead. Our approach was to say, look, we got to make sure that we start to create a vibrant startup ecosystem within the space. After quite a lengthy engagement with different stakeholders, we came up with, which is, by the way, is the first of its kind. We came up with quite a comprehensive hydrogen transformative fund. And the reason why we call it a transformative fund, because we didn't want to focus just on a big hydrogen economy project, but really how do we start to invest in R&D, and how do we start investing in a startup ecosystem to make sure that we drive a vibrant SME ecosystem in the country. This was another major advice that we given to the minister. So if you look at the type of work that I think we produced over the last 12 months, it's more to do with really what I consider to be major transformative project that we submitted to the minister. And Chairperson, we do hope that the minister and the department will take those advice and implement them. Like I said, our job only ends at advisory phase, not an implementation phase. That's where the department comes in. The third question was around the issue of NACI's capacity and human resource. And I agree with Honorable Vusinkosi. It is a major concern for us. I think every time we come here, we do raise the issue to say, look, NACI, the way it was originally designed, it makes it quite a difficult task in terms of making sure that we retain staff. But we have, over the last 2 years, initiated the process of repositioning NACI. And one of the big things that I think we have advocated for as the council, as part of the new plan of NACI, is to make sure that NACI is fully resourced, that it have the right type of resources, so that we can respond to the need of society, and we can make sure that the caliber of people that we do have does have the right skill set, and making sure that we address the need of society in the whole. We are hopeful and we're optimistic that once the process of renewal and repositioning of NACI is finalized, we should have a fully capacitated and a well-resourced organization to make sure that we can respond to the need of making sure that NACI not only serve the interests of the department only, but as a department, as other department of government as a whole. And I think that links up to the question by Honorable Mazoni when he speaks about how is NACI interacting with the other department. And Honorable Mazoni is correct. It's something that we really try hard. What we do currently in terms of our stakeholder engagement, we try to all our activities that we involve other departments. Just to give an example, when we're putting together a hydrogen transformation fund, we did work closely with the Department of Energy and the Department of Trade and Industry. And yeah, we hope that as we continue, that we do spread that. One of the big things that we are proposing in the new NACI is actually having a closer relationship from a structural perspective with the other departments that have similar mandate. And this is why one of the big tasks that NACI has been positioned to do as part of the new NACI or the new amendment is what we call the M&E capability, monitoring evaluation capability within NACI. That will allow us as NACI to have a much broader engagement and a much broader coordinating with other government departments as far as making sure that we aggregate and we aggregate all the M&E or all the STI activities across department activities. And so we're hoping that this new NACI that we're proposing as part of our business plan will do that. I think the other question that was raised, which I think from Mr. Temenkosi, around the impact. Look, I mean, I always say to people, I think we need to understand that as NACI, like I said, our real influence as organization is really making sure that we produce quality advice and hopeful that the type of advice we produce that the minister, because we report to the minister directly, can then able then to instruct the department to implement the advice that we propose. And just giving the few examples of the advice that we propose this year, we hope that the department, I'm sure DDG Imran will add into that if those advice are implemented by the minister, we'll definitely see a major contribution to impact to society as far as the work of NACI is doing, because those are quite a progressive presentations or proposals that we've made to the department and really will help to position STI in the main area. So I think I've covered the main question at the high level. I'm going to ask then the acting CE to come in and respond if I've left anything else and give more details. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, honorable members and Chairperson, and also just to add to what our Chairperson has just responded to some of the questions. I think most importantly on the expenditure side, in terms of what are the key cost drivers for goods and services, the key cost drivers, as just to add to what the Chairperson has just presented, is that the work that NACI does, we do commissioned research. So it requires that we engage experts, independent experts, through the commissioned work that we do. So that's our main cost drivers in terms of goods and services. The other cost drivers of our goods and services is the policy dialogues and the policy engagements. And as you're aware, we hosted the inaugural Transformation Summit towards the end of the financial year. And even for that summit, we had to rely on additional funding from the department to host the summit because it required quite a substantial amount of money, which was outside of the scope of the NACI of the NACI budget. So I think that's how I could say. But additionally to the budget, to the expenditure, I will allow the CFO when acting DG Patel comes in, the CFO can add to the issue of finances, especially regarding the question that came through from the honourable member regarding the separate audit for NACI to be audited as a separate entity. The CFO will then take that up as part of the responses on the finances. I think the chairperson has answered in terms of the recommendations from the summit. We have submitted the summit recommendations. This is Transformation Summit recommendations to the minister and the department will then share that with the portfolio committee. As the chairperson indicated, the department has committed to implement it through their annual plans. With regards to the international engagements, part of our work requires that we engage internationally because science and technology is a global phenomena. And when we do our studies, we have to benchmark what other countries or other multilateral organizations or policy organizations are doing. So it forms an integral part of the work that we need to undertake. I highlighted that NACI participates in the BRICS working groups on foresight, and that's part of the international engagement that NACI undertook in the last financial year. And by participating in these multilateral or bilateral or global engagements, it informs our work better. We're also able to draw expertise and leverage expertise from those organizations to support the work of NACI in the area of policy advice. But it's also part of our requirement as South Africa is a member of BRICS. We need to participate in those working groups as part of a full member of the BRICS community. Similarly, now with the G20, we were expected to host one of the streams as part of the G20, which we'll report in the next in the next cycle of the annual report. The other question was in terms of what Honorable Mazzoni also mentioned. I think the chairperson also responded to. It is correct that the advice that NACI provides, we provide advice to the minister. And really one of the things we need to advocate for is the uptake of the advice, because there's one thing of providing the advice to the minister. It's another thing whether the advice is implemented not only at the department but throughout the government system. And I think that's why the renewal process of NACI through the amendment of the NACI bill, but also repositioning NACI, is exactly to ensure that the advice is not only limited to the department, but also to the rest of the government, because the new amendment calls for the revival of the Interministerial Committee on Science and Technology, but also the revival of the Presidential Plenary on STI. And once those structures are revived, NACI will play a key role to ensure that we provide policy advice extensively to the rest of government, but not only which is currently only through the Minister of Science and Technology. But once those IMC, the IMC for STI is revived, and also the Presidential Plenary on STI, it will be the mandate of NACI to ensure that we provide those advices through those structures. So it will have a much more of a wider reach within government. With regards to the investment by private sector and foreign funding, in terms of R&D, as the chairperson rightfully articulated, we will provide the advice, we will do the policy investigation, and then we'll provide those recommendations to the department. So the department will then have to implement, because we're not an implementing agency as NACI, the department will then have to implement those policy recommendations through programs that they implement. And I think Acting DG Patel said he will talk to some of the issues. And I think one of the issues he will rightfully talk to is the issue of how are we going to ensure we increase investment, the investment climate for R&D amongst private sector, but also through the system. And I think Acting DG Patel will talk to that. Regarding the local government and grassroots engagement in terms of the municipal innovation, and I think that's one key area NACI will be taking forward. As much as we produce the annual STI indicators report, and currently in that report we are reporting on the NSI performance at various levels, at a policy level, at a firm level, at an industry level, at a research academia level, at a knowledge production level, but also at a municipal level. And I think this has been coming in the past reports. And I think it forms a critical part of our innovation ecosystem. And it's one of the areas the minister has also indicated that he wants to ensure that the department decentralizes science and technology at the local level, at the provincial level. And it's one of the areas we'll be working closely with the department to ensure how do we advance and how do we promote innovation ecosystems at the local level and at the municipal level. And I know Acting DG Patel will talk to the work they are doing, for example, through the service delivery model that the department is implementing, but how more can we work with the department to ensure we promote innovation at those various spheres of government. With regards to the issue of HR in terms of staff development, career development, but also ensuring there's racial and disability numbers that we include in our plan. We work very closely with HR because our HR systems are managed by the department. Our finance systems are managed and processed through the department. And we do have DDG Zwane on the line. She will add further in terms of the HR issues. But in terms of NACI, we ensure that through the staff personal development plans, that they articulate what training is needed, but we ensure that the staff is supported to undergo those training. In terms of the recruitment, as you know, we have to rely on the department to ensure that we reach out to those disadvantaged employees that are potential to be recruited within the NACI within the NACI structures. With regards to what strategies are we putting in place to ensure we mitigate the high vacancy rate at NACI. So currently we are engaging the department to ensure that we get staff that's either seconded from the department. For example, in the case, for example, of IT services, we are engaging the department to see how they can second some staff from the department itself to support some of those functions where we have a gap at NACI. In terms of other competencies to support NACI, we have been relying on temp staff because some of the positions are not created forward in the or supported forward in the structure. So we need to ensure that with this revival and renewal of NACI, how can the structure be revised? But also ensure how do we review the current job descriptions of the different functions to ensure that we align the organization properly in terms of the mandate it's supposed to deliver on. I think we've covered, and I think I've covered the issue of the role and how we interact with government, and I think the chairperson has also covered on that. So let me then, through you, Honorable Chairperson, then hand back to you for Acting DG Patel to then also come in on the other areas. Over to you, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
DG, Acting DG.
Thanks, Chair. Let me start by asking our CFO to respond to the question on the separate audit for NACI and also the breakdown of the goods and services. What was the funding used for? CFO, over to you, and then I'll conclude with four issues that I've picked up that requires a departmental position. Thanks.
Thanks, Acting DG, and thanks, members, with the comments. Okay, with the issue of NACI being audited within the department, as the chairperson and the acting CEO had said, NACI is not yet a standalone institution. We are handling all their support services, HR, finance, all the governance issues of NACI are handled within the department. And then NACI does not have its own budget as a standalone institution. The budget of NACI is part, as I've indicated, budget of NACI is managed within the department. Therefore, when they are audited as part of the department. The acting CEO, the chairperson had indicated that the plan is to have NACI as a standalone. The department with NACI and other relevant institutions are currently working on having NACI listed as an entity, standalone entity. And it is in that, when it is being listed as a standalone entity, where it will be audited as a standalone institution. But currently, as I've indicated, everything with regard to NACI, funding, HR, IT, it is within the department. Hence, everything with regard to NACI is supported, is audited within the department. And with regard to line items that were spent, the biggest item that we spent on the 7 million for NACI, if I can just maybe share with members, was on employment. We have few officials that were employed through employment agencies, like the acting CEO had said. We do have vacancies, and also as a result of funding challenges, we are not filling positions, because of the funding challenges, but we are filling some of these positions through employment agencies. NACI as well, they are filling positions within the employment agencies. And the biggest part of the goods and services is around this line item, where they've spent around 2.7 million. And then also the NACI has got council members that are paid for attending meetings, doing the work that they are doing for NACI. And we've paid those members over the 12 months, 1.2 million was paid to all the members. So there is also travel and subsistence, as the chair had said, the acting CEO had said, where NACI planned a transformation summit. The money was spent in arranging that. There were venues and facilities that we spent for hiring the venue that the event took place at. And also there are other normal office expenses that were spent, and also travel related expenses. I'm not sure if member want me to go through line by line with regard to those, but they were we spent 450, almost 50,000 for accommodation for NACI. And also there was travel, about 700,000 travel for international, for the ones that they've already indicated in the presentation, that were international travel for the work of NACI. And there is normal printing and stationery that we have spent on, and air transport for local travel, and then also there's small items like honorarium for members, printing and stationery, as I've indicated, to spend about 300,000 there. So maybe just to add, the work of NACI is very, very important for the department and also for the country as a whole. We don't see the spending for NACI as an unnecessary expense. There is quite a number of advisory briefs that NACI has produced, and then some of those had an impact on the decadal blend that we have produced. The hairstyle, the foresight report, there's quite a number of them. The work of NACI is very, very important, and hence now we want to strengthen NACI, to have NACI as a standalone institution. As I said, we are currently working on amending the legislation and ensuring that all these support services that I've talked about, NACI has got the capacity to do those by itself. So the working of NACI is important for the department and for the country as a whole. I just wanted to raise that fact. Thanks, Chair, and thanks, DTG.
Thanks, CFO. So, Honorable Chair and members, let me conclude by reinforcing a few issues that were raised and where the department would highlight. So, starting with where the CFO ended, I think the Honorable Jadu spoke about value for money, and I think that's the way that we always look at issues. If you get a sense of the structure and the kind of people that are participating on the council, some of these are linked to existing entities, agencies. So we draw people and who are already funded through other means. So we don't pay them additional, only those members for particular reasons need to be paid. So we're getting very, very good high-level advice, insight, but also many of the council members come with their own networks. And so for advisory notes, if you take the kind of content of those advisory notes, they can be significantly transformative if they materialize in big, meaningful ways. The Hydrogen Investment Fund or the AI strategy, which is already being taken up, etc. So we are confident that we are getting value for money if you take into account the net costs. We draw external capacities to help, but remember the council members are not, this is not their full-time occupation. They are employed in other entities and they give of their time, and we acknowledge and really appreciate that. And so ultimately we're getting some very, very good insight that we're not able to get on our own. So, and I think the the CEO and the CFO have tried to provide some breakdown around the funding. The second comment that I want to highlight is the work that the recommendations that came out of the Transformation Summit were already integrated into the existing strategic plan and the APP, because the DSTI, many officials were participating in the Transformation Summit were there, and it was at the start of the financial year. So many of those matters build on existing work and are taken forward. There are a set of issues that require further consideration, and as part of that, the planning unit under DDG Zwane is keeping a close eye on ensuring that the recommendations of the Transformation Summit, those that have not already been included, like I said, I think a number of them have already been included, but those that require further strengthening, those will be done as we finalize our next plan, etc. So when we share when the recommendations are shared with the members, which we undertake to do, then when we come and present our next APP, I'm confident that members would be empowered to say, but have you integrated this particular recommendation that came out from the Transformation Summit? And I'm confident we'll be able to show that. So similarly with other advices, we have an existing hydrogen unit, and they have their plans and strategies. So these additional advice that comes gets internalized and integrated into their plan. Similarly with AI, which is at the very early stage of having a very good, clear strategy, and the NACI work has, I think, accelerated our efforts to make progress in this space. Yeah. So I think just on the issue of how these reports are being taken forward, I hope those examples would be able to give that. On the private sector R&D, which was raised, so the NACI report helps us to have a more deeper understanding of specifically what are the challenges in terms of private sector funding. But many engagements that we've had with private sector entities, etc., indicate that the private sector is also under stress, but there's also a general challenge of leveraging investment. We're confident that the signals are positive. Certain whatever conditions, enabling conditions are in place, like we no longer have the kind of challenges that we have on energy, etc. All of those impact on a decision by a company to invest more broadly and more specifically in R&D. So this is a big priority for us. The CFO is leading a process that he has been tasked by the minister and the DG to consolidate a set of opportunities that we can take to the private sector. And we have some of these. For example, we have a very well-established funding instrument called Sector Innovation Funds. These are funds that are jointly funded by private funding and government funding in support of particular sectors like forestry or citrus, etc. And over time, we've been moving to matching fund. So we have that. We have the R&D tax incentives, etc. And the idea is to draw on the NACI work and other work that's being done by agencies like the OECD to look at what else needs to be done to both incentivize and encourage and steer the private sector to invest more in R&D, but it's not a short-term problem that we can solve. It takes a lot of hard work and effort, but once you get the trajectory moving in the right direction, then we are quite confident that we will start seeing some benefits around the private sector investment. And then two last comments. One is Honorable Mazzoni raised the issue of duplication, potential duplication, because we've presented all of our entities now, and sometimes certain topics come up in different places like AI, etc. But I think that the way in which the different entities approach some of these issues provide a specific case for them to be involved. But what I would suggest that we do with DDG Zwane is when we come to present on the DSTI's overall strategy, is to provide an articulation of the different entities and what are they responsible for and where are there areas of overlap, because we in fact encourage people to work on. So as an example, the AI strategy, the CEO of the CSR is on the NACI Council as well. So it's not as if these organizations are separate. Those interfaces are sometimes as important as each entity having its own responsibility, because they can approach it from a different instance. But we're fairly confident that we have minimized duplication in terms of real effort where resources can be fruitlessly utilized. So we're confident that that doesn't exist, where people are involved even in particular areas. When they present and say we're working in AI, they're working on very different aspects of AI. NACI on the policy aspects, CSR would work more on the application of AI, etc., etc. So we're quite confident, but I think it would help because it has come up before to present this a lot more holistically when we present the DSTI's plans for the next financial year, and then to show how these different entities are doing. And then the final comment is the very good one, that science and technology needs to find expressions at all levels of government. Over time, we've made good progress working with almost all of the provinces through our what we call the Regional Innovation Support Program. This year at the NSTF Awards, the Minister has even tasked the NSTF to create these multi-stakeholder forums at lower levels of government. So we have that, and then we have a very active program now that has matured, especially over the last 6-7 years, in some way enabled by this approach of the district development model. So we have a unit now under our program 5 that takes the lead. The rest of us support and assist, but takes the lead in looking at how we can work very effectively with local government. So we have projects now with a lot of districts and local governments, and in fact to help us also have a picture of what we're doing with different local governments and provinces, etc. We've set up a geographical information system focused on our work in different localities. And then as part of our annual performance plan process, we'll also begin to ask people, when you have a particular project, is it based in a particular area? Are you working with local government, etc.? So that is the next phase of the maturing of the national system of innovation, is to strengthen the role of local government, particularly in the science, technology, and innovation space. Some effort is underway in that regard, but we would fully concede that a lot more needs to be done in that space. So I think we've tried to address most or all of the questions that were posed by the honorable members. So with that, can I hand over back to you, Honorable Chair?
Thank you, Acting DG and the Chair of NACI for responses. Honorable members, are we satisfied? Seems that there's no follow-up from honorable members. Thank you so much for the presentation from NACI and for your availability. For all those that managed to join us today, thank you so much for joining us. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Chair, and thanks for the valuable insights. Thanks,
Recording
NACI
stopped.
colleagues. Bye-bye. And DSTI
Thank you,
colleagues.
Chairperson. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you. Bye.